Hello and welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton, and today's Daily Record is one of my all-time favorite groups, Tower of Power. This is their debut album, East Bay Grease, released in 1970 on the San Francisco Atlantic label. This is a San Francisco pressing of the album, and I want to say this one is actually, this is just the San Francisco. There it is, the label there, which was a subsidiary of Atlantic at the time. But also I have an Atlantic pressing that is a Japanese pressing, Bay Area Big Sound. And I found this at a pawn shop, funny enough, several years later. But that's on the Atlantic label. But it's a Japanese import because it's got the Japanese insert, all the Japanese writing and everything on it. But Tower of Power, for those of you who don't know, let's talk about the album itself. It was a soul and funk band out of San Francisco. They were one of the early groups to be signed with Bill Graham's Fillmore Records. And it's just this Tower of Power are known for the 5-man horn section that drove a lot of that music. It was a brass-heavy funk rock sound. 2 saxophonists, a Barry sax, and a couple of brass players. Lead vocalist Rufus Miller was the singer on this album. And of course, some of the other East Bay Grease style bands, to make comparison, I mean, obviously bands like Chicago Blood, Sweat and Tears and Cold Blood. Emilio Castillo, the saxophone player, and Stephen Kupka, Doc, the Funky Doctor, co-wrote a lot of the songs except for Sparkling in the Sand. I just wanted to show you guys that there. And so it's a short album. There's only 6 songs on the album. It opens with the Tower of Power classic, Knock Yourself Out, which later became just one of the powerhouse workouts live for the horn section. Social Lubrication extends. I mean, the songs kind of jam a little bit. Back on the Streets Again. Just a sort of funky record. Now, I've got to mention the rhythm section here. One of the great funk rhythm sections of all time. Frank Rocco Prestia played bass, and of course David Garibaldi. Famously, when I was in college, some of those guys would joke that Garibaldi did not know how to play on the 1 and 2. Just and the thing about David, he gives a lot of space to Frank, who plays, instead of like a slap bass that's really well known in a lot of funk playing, Frank's funk is just in the fingers, just a lot of 16th note runs and things like that, but a lot of space in there to stretch it out. And of course, the horn section is always cooking, and so this is a great funky soul album to get into. Now, Tower of Power would go on to have a more sort of commercial sound. This album is a little more gritty and just kind of in your face. And so it's one of those it just comes popping right out of the speakers. And so it's one of those that if you're familiar with some of the bigger hits, like What Is Hip and some of those big songs, You're Still a Young Man, this album may come as a bit of a surprise, because it is just kind of a grittier record, and the sound is just grittier. It's more of that sort of San Francisco, Oakland sound, that just it's more the edgier stuff, a little more raw. But just a fun record to put on and crank up, and even maybe if no one's watching like me, dance to it a little bit. East Bay Grease by Tower of Power. Tower of Power, TOP fans, comment down below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. I love hearing from you guys. And check out my other channel, Tommy Burton's VC channel. But in the meantime, I'll see you all again tomorrow with another Daily Record.